All right, hello, good morning, blessings, guys. I know it's early morning, and y'all will get this whenever y'all wake up. I wanted to come and talk to y'all real quick about something, and I wanted to speak to y'all about a cautionary tale on this whole thing that is the dark arts. And it's a specific story that I want to tell y'all about, actually, that is involving mental illness, fears, paranoia, delusions, um, and the dark arts personally being used, not personally being used, but being used to do harm. And then also family is what we're going to talk about today. Okay. Hello to the chat. Hi to my moderator, Stevon Harris. Hello. So first of all, I want to talk about family. And I was looking for that little uh thing where how they say family can do you worse than anybody. And that is because I think that I think that you create your reality. I think that we all create our reality. Okay. So, but I've run across a quote that said that, and you guys know I don't use stuff like that, but I mean, I guess that's what can happen. But I want to talk about how family can sometimes be, as far as like, you know, your aunties, your uncles, your cousins. And I'm looking for something right now, y'all. I'm sorry. That's why I'm kind of trying to. So I want to tell y'all specifically about protecting your family, knowing when the dark arts are being used against you, and also being mindful that we can all make an assumption that every spiritualist and practitioner is gonna do the right thing, and they're not all like me. See, I don't deal in nonsense. I don't. And nobody ever comes at me with any nonsense. People don't come to me to curse people that they're jealous of. I just don't deal in that. I do a lot of healing work. In fact, stay tuned for those of you that are looking for, fertility work and things of that nature. How death curses can cause a series of miscarriages, and that's a death curse either on your husband or either you. So stay tuned for that. Okay, it can cause a lot of problems. So I deal in a lot of healing, and I am a witch, so I can remove curses from people. And I've been doing it for years. And so, um, but there are some people who practice the dark arts, and they're not very ethical. They'll just take money for anything from anybody, and I'm not like that. And no, I do not. No, thank you. I don't need no kind of weird or goofy. I like having my integrity. I like having my honor, and no, I don't understand nonsense and foolishness. But I want to talk to you guys about a case that I had been dealing with, and it was dealing with family, and it was dealing with also mental illness, and mentally ill people who, while they can function in society, they can work, they can pay bills, they're still very mentally ill. But that doesn't mean that they don't have access to black magic and money, right? So basically, I was dealing with a family case. It was like a family haunting. It kind of gave me the feel of poltergeist. And this mother, that we're still cool. We're still good with each other. But this mother, I had to help her with her children, in particular one of her daughters, because there was really a very sinister plot that was going on, and a lot of this stuff you're not supposed to know about it, guys. Like, these are things that are being hidden from you, and when you come to people like me, it's going to be revealed to you, and it's going to give you confirmation. And so you really have to pay attention to what people say, and some things will be in your memory, or either they will come back up. So for some reason, the client was having problems in her love life, and of course she had been divorced. She was having issues in her love life, and she had family issues. And I'm gonna tell you something, when it comes to family, and family is like kind of negative. and obsessory. And it's kind of like, goodness gracious, why don't you people just leave this person alone? And so family will sometimes speak things on you, make things happen to you. And so pretty much what it was that my client had like two or three people in her family. One in particular was a female that was just obsessed with my client. I mean, my goddess, just obsessed. Okay. And of course, the whole classic, I'm Christian, praise Jesus, but I'm going to practitioners to get work done on my family member because I'm fake, I'm a fraud, pretty much. But anyway, so basically my client was having problems, been having problems, but was having problems with her kids, and she didn't understand it. She didn't understand where all of the distrust and the arguments and the problems and the chaos was coming from. This is so sad, but it's true, and it is something you can do about it. You or any of y'all from one of those families where it's like too many, not everybody, but it's one too many people that are obsessed with your love life and your sex life and what you doing. They gonna tell you what to do. It's weird. It's many, many, many different reasons for that. But for some reason, clients started having problems with her children that she loves. And so basically, come to find out, one of her cousins had been going to get root work done on her. And the cousin's very mentally ill, and apparently the root worker's mentally ill too. Apparently. This is because it's kind of like, I believe that magic is just like alcohol, use it responsibly, right? Come to find out, the the cousin had been going to an unethical practitioner that basically must have been mentally ill herself, but ended up doing some kind of death contract on my client, which supposedly the cousin didn't mean for all of that to happen, which is why you have to be careful who you go and see and give your information to. Hello. But was still not all the way innocent, because basically what it ended up coming out was that the cousin that went to the practitioner was a mentally ill person and had this obsession with women needing to sacrifice their kids for love. Specifically, specifically, the cousin was into child sacrifice and had told my client previously that in order for her to have a man in her life and to have a happy and fulfilled life, that she had to blood sacrifice at least one of her children. Literally, this was the cousin's belief. Now, of course, my client didn't believe that, and she knew that the cousin was just mentally ill. However, she wasn't paying attention. My client was not paying attention, because what her cousin ended up doing was going and finding a practitioner that knew about the dark arts, that's just as mentally ill as she was, that decided, yes, it's true. So we got to go. And so it's like, well, is there a spirit or a demon or a God? Because I just want to help my cousin out. And those little bastards that she gave birth to, they're stopping my cousin from having love in her life. So what we have to do is eliminate the children. This is because I'm here to tell you straight up and down. People have, and coincidentally, the cousin, her children were like literally. I mean, she had lost a couple of her kids. Go figure, right? Go figure. Crazy, right? That she felt that way, and she was so she became obsessed with sacrificing your own kids. Now, this is very reminiscent and reminiscent of the Bible. It is, which is why I don't contort or contend with it. I don't. And a lot of people say that I'm evil, I'm the devil. I guess I'm evil, I'm the devil, because I'm not prepared to sacrifice any of my children nor my loved ones. I'm a witch. No, thank you. No, thank you. Okay. But it's not just the Bible. There's many, many gods and demons out there. I think that the demon Moloch is even mentioned in the Bible. Okay. But because Moloch is a demon of child sacrifice, right? And so anyway, but there's still other, demons that, it's plenty of like, you know what I'm saying? But for some reason, since the cousin decided this was her truth, she didn't want to be alone with it and involve my client. So when I initially made contact with the client, when I threw the cards, I could see that she had a cousin that was mentally ill, that was getting work done on her. I asked my client, I said, is your cousin into child sacrifice? And she said, yeah. She actually came to me one time and said that in order to have a man in your life, you got to sacrifice your kids. Come to find out, she actually took that to a dark art worker, and the dark art worker began to do work on the cousin. And all of a sudden, my client that wanted to do nothing but protect her family, her kids, but it was just problems. See, death magic doesn't always cause death. It can cause chaos and destruction and problems. Luckily for her children, my client loved her kids very much, but she just wanted to have somebody in her life. But come to find out, it was a spirit, almost like an egregore or something, that was plaguing my client that I had to battle with. And it didn't take long, because when I tell it to go, it's got to go. When I tell it to go, it's got to go. I said, hey, okay. Basically, this spirit was monitoring my client and wanted to make sure that this created prophecy and destiny was fulfilled, to where the client, one of her kids, had to die or something had to happen for her to have a man, for her to have a husband. I shit y'all not. It's like the most complex, but people with mental illness have complex thoughts like that. Literally created this phantasm that was running circles around the client, not only feeding off of her, feeding off of the family, and literally try to tell my client that she had to go along with it. And so, of course, when I go and I talk to Hecate of Lilith of Santa Muerta, they like, what the hell is that? No. So we got rid of the spirit, of course. Of course, the cousin was still obsessed with that assertion, and for some reason didn't have an identity of her own, and just kept projecting this, kept going back to this dark art worker that kept trying to do this. Needless to say, of course, the battle was won by me and my client. Be careful and pay attention, though, to the crazy stuff that people say. Stop discounting crazy people. They may be mentally ill, but they have accesses to resources and witches, and they will go and do all of that. And you can create anything out of witchcraft. So, needless to say, the work that I had to do on the cousin, because she kept going to different people. You know, my thing as a spiritualist is that when somebody comes to me and they have an obvious mental illness, which is few and far between, I mean, you can tell, because if somebody comes to your practice and says, hey, I believe in this, this, and that, a normal person, like a good person, is going to correct that person. They're going to say, well, no, that's actually not true. But of course, somebody that's less ethical will see it as an opportunity. But people don't come at me with nonsense at all. That's nonsense, right? There's no, if you have children from a previous relationship, you don't have to sacrifice the children to get a man or to get anything in life. You know, you can have things that you want in life without putting death magic on your babies. For some reason, the client's cousin believed in that and went to a practitioner that placated on that just to get her money and put a curse on my client that opened up Pandora's box to some goofy. See, witchcraft is, here's the thing, good witchcraft does not create goofy. That's just goofy and stupid. But sadly, many people have lost their lives because of that, because of things that are being created. Now, keep in mind, it was a female practitioner as well as a female cousin creating this out of her own paranoia and then projecting it and then trying to force my client to conform with it. So, needless to say, I removed the curse, binded the client. I'm sorry, binded the client's cousin. It's a, and you know what? This is something that's going to get talked about more and more in the spiritual community. People with these outlandish, extreme weirdness. And then also, you want to watch out for people that are trying to, please watch out for people trying to force their beliefs on you. Those beliefs can be forced in many different ways. She had access to my client, her hair, her toothbrush, because the client's thinking, well, this is my cousin. I can trust her. Little did she know, you know, the cousin took it too far. Now, maybe perhaps the cousin needed some mental health counseling, but since it's so taboo, we are talking about Black people here. Mental illness is very taboo in the Black community. When you have some kind of thought process or fear or paranoia like that, to where you feel that in order for you to have a man in your life, that somehow your children have to go off of this planet, baby, you mentally ill. And it is not my job as a practitioner to placate that mental illness. So I work very ethically. Somebody come to me, I'm gonna say, "What's your name and date of birth, baby? Let me write that down." I'm gonna lead you to see a therapist right now because you need some help. Not only that, but needs to be talked about more in the spiritual community is the manifestation of spell work of the mentally ill. Because you can be mentally ill, very mentally ill. Reminds me of that movie with J-Lo in it called Beautiful Mind. Y'all should watch that. It's very deep, and some people didn't really understand it. It's not suggested for people that have those kind of mental illnesses to be practicing. If they do, it's probably a good idea to keep a handle on it so that you can know right from wrong. Because that's horrible. Luckily, the client came to me when she did because Goddess only knows what could have actually happened to that family, to my client and her children. That to where the cousin who has mental problems was placated by a practitioner that had no ethics, no moral compass to say, what? Wait a minute, what? So, so you believe that this is the rules of the world, that if a woman is divorced, that the only way she can have a new life, or a good man in her life, is that the children have to die, her current children that she brought into this world. Something has to happen to them in order for you to have love. And I'm going to sit here and placate that kind of mental illness. But some people would. Oh, trust me, guys, I see a lot of shit. Oh my God. God has had mercy on us. A lot of crazy stuff created. Just weird, goofy, off stuff. Like, what? Like, and it'd be some kind of, and it'd be like, well, that sounds like something that was created by somebody that has a mental illness. See, I don't do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So, client had been having some problems, and again, it was one of those weird things to where, and not everybody goes through that, but like, for example, you got a weird family member. That's weird. Like, where did that come from? Where does the weirdness of taking that kind of interest in anybody's love life or sex life? And see, that was something that for me it hit home for me because I've actually been through that, nipped it in the bud. uh yeah, no, you need to like not focus on who I'm screwing and go focus on getting some mental help, baby. I can't believe that people are doing that. That's kind of ridiculous. But and so when something like that gets out of hand to the point where curses are being created, and then the next thing there was a lot of monitoring spirits. I had to remove several intranquil spirits, hundreds of monitoring spirits. that was born out of this crazy person that had access to an unethical, spiritualist that did that to my client. And still to this day, we're still fighting. It's almost at the end of the thing, but still fighting because the spiritualist keeps trying to invoke this goofy shit. Because, and see, that's why there's some people, you know, what spirit doesn't want to do is they don't want to take away people's resources to where they can't pay for magic. But maybe you need to use your money more responsibly, because you're going and paying a spiritualist to do some goofy shit that makes no sense, that's a danger to this world. Because y'all, I'm here to tell you, these spirit, let me tell you, whatever is happening in the astral or the etheric and even the dreamscape, which is very mysterious, connected to Neptune, this is manifesting reality. And sometimes it takes a short time, depending on what practitioner you're dealing with, and sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes there's a preordained date of this happening. And you have to be very, very careful. Nobody has the right to determine your karmic destiny. It's people out there that want to do it, and they will do it if you don't know. If you're unaware, one of those unaware people, then you just gonna get played like a damn puppet your whole life. That's weird though, isn't it? And because she felt that so strongly, and for some reason needed to prove that she was right, to where she created it. This was a manifestation of some kind of paranoid delusion that began to affect my client. And luckily, she came to me, somebody ethical. Okay. Be very, very careful when, when people say weird, goofy, odd stuff. You know what I mean? Be careful. And then also, you got to be careful because there's some people that are in your family that believe that they got to sacrifice you. I've worked with many, many sacrifices of families to where they're like, we have to sacrifice this one family member. And it's not that they can actually sacrifice you, but it does cause a lot of struggle and destruction in your life in between that time. And it sucks. And it doesn't matter if you're Christian, if it doesn't matter. It still manifests in your life, and it can be bought up. It can be bought about. It can be bought about even with Christian magic. Okay, so be careful with that, and deal with people that are ethical. Be very ethical. What's wrong with that? Everybody that is doing things like that are unethical, they just have mental illnesses. They have their own fears. See, you shouldn't allow the witchcraft is a necessary evil, and it's not all evil. It's not. It's witchcraft within itself is not evil. Evil can be born and created out of the craft, but that doesn't make it essentially evil, right? When you look at something like that, not only that, what was found out is that Some people just like to play with other people like toys. So, for example, the daughter was basically being used as a weapon of destruction, also a tool. So all of that was abolished and all of that, and everybody's fine and protected. But it's just the point that there are some people that they are crazy. Because I wouldn't, in a million years, I would be too worried about my karma. The best protection is to do the right thing, isn't it? Yep, it is. We all know it. Some people don't want to admit it, but the best way to protect yourself in any situation is by being ethical. Okay? Being as pure as possible and just and balanced. I would be worried about what's going to happen. Some people don't. It's, it's not a necessity, and it doesn't preserve love. I mean, keep in mind, there's some things that I do that can be seen as evil to some, but it creates balance. And then also it preserves certain things that are sanctified, right? So that's why certain things have to happen. Okay. But, it can't be just anything goes, because that's just ridiculous. Hey, Unicali, and I don't do just, I couldn't believe it. So, just FYI, just to let y'all know, I am not willing to do, because I'll say, hey, I'm not going to do that. People don't come to me like that, though. People don't come at me with evil plots and stupidity. I don't deal with nonsense, like I said. People come to me about serious stuff, but and it's just as goofy. It's goofy. It's dumb. It makes no sense, and you know, um, but you still have to watch out for it because it is still very annoying. These spirits can be conjured. People know sorcery, all kinds of stuff. And a lot of people will take the things that are happening to them as, well, God did it. I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. I have a different relationship with God. God is not going to let me suffer or my loved ones suffer for no reason. For what? That's my relationship with God. I guess some people feel that God is just punishing them all the time. Whatever. You can believe whatever you want to believe. Again, people that believe that God is this punisher and evil, sadistic, hey, don't project that to me, because that's not a part of my belief system. Okay. So, I believe in God. Yes, I do. I believe, I'm a polytheist. So there's a lot of gods. But I also believe in birth and rebirth. I do believe currently things that when you, if you are somebody that was reincarnated on this planet, these are things from past life and past life history. I think that time and space continuum, as far as the quantum theories, are very real. But do I believe that when you're rebirthed on this planet, do you have to suffer? No, you don't. Even though there are some people that come into this earth with defects and things going on, I do think that there's healing available in some cases, okay? And it's really deep, very metaphysical, very spiritual. And I can't really get into why there's some people that are born, you know, that they just it's connected to nature with certain defects and stuff. So I'm not going to get into that right now because but as far as like you coming into this earth, if God made you healthy and perfect, and then all of a sudden you're experiencing these things, and a lot of people, like I said, Saturn is getting ready to go into retrograde. My goddess, I already got my protection ready. That's all I got to say. Because it's going to be a whole trip. Mm-hmm. So, and it's a lot of people that they just don't understand it, like as far as spiritually, they're stuck. I know when I started having problems in my own practice, it was because my spirits was really trying to force me to really learn the secrets of the universe as well as the alchemy. And I had to pay attention to the lessons and to have a understanding and connection. You can still be connected to the earth and earth spirits and stuff like that, but I think that when it comes to what's above us, and it is above us and around us, it just is what it is. you know so hmm is this Mercury retro supposed to be worser than the others before? I'll have to check it out. Yeah, Mercury is going to go into retrograde also probably shortly after. Do you have the date of that, Unicali? Can you look it up and post it for me? Because, of course, I'll be here and I'll be going over that too. Because Saturn is going to be in retrograde until November 28th. So that's going to be a whole trip. And it's going to be a lot of people walking around here like chicken with their heads cut off, totally not understanding what is going on, having no clue, stuck, and the next level harassment begins. And you got to make sure you protect yourself from that kind of nonsense and harassment because, right now we're focused on this Saturn in retrograde because, it's going to hit like Armageddon a lot of people. And I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm excited. Just make sure you ain't taking on the karma of others and people that love to put their bad karma on other people and scapegoat on other people and a lot of other stuff that I'm not going to talk about. They in for some trouble. And I'm not talking about little petty stuff. I'm talking about things that people did that they know they shouldn't have been doing and they've already been warned. Well, you can't go and try to murder a whole village of people and do all kind of stuff, and then you just gonna put it all off on somebody else, and you just you gonna have to deal with that, hon. You gotta deal with that. hmm I'll look it up and see when it is, because it's definitely gonna be a lot colliding, and then not only that, not only that, a lot of other things that are gonna be happening in the universe is gonna be affecting us. And if people are not ready, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna hit them hard. It's called reality. It's called the reality of what you did, things you've been doing to people. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know why, but that movie called The Ring reminds me of Saturn for some reason. You know, the Saturn's rings, but they say that eventually planet Earth is going to have rings around it too. I think it's very interesting. But anyway, yeah, I do a lot of space exploration, and I'm a nerd, y'all. So those are things that are relevant, very relevant to me, in my opinion. What's happening in the universe. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that'll be on the 13th. What's today? Today's the 7th. Oh yeah, 7/7. And today would be a very good day. I'm gonna tell you something. Today would be a very good day to clean it up. Clean it up, baby. Don't continue to do that. Today would be your lucky day. But a lot of people are not going to take that opportunity. They're going to continue on, trying to do these weird things, goofy stuff, and they're going to play victim. They're going to go, "Oh my God," you know. But that's exactly who you need to go talk to, is God or somebody. I don't know, because them gods of Saturn, they not playing that. You know. Anywho, that's pretty much it. Y'all have a good day today. Today's Monday, isn't it? I love my Mondays. Yep, today is Monday. So I will see y'all later. Y'all have a good one. Um, Make sure y'all subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and you can also visit divineservicesapothecary.com if you guys are in need of trusted help. Yep. I don't know. I just, as a practitioner, just FYI, I try to keep my karma as clear as possible. I don't do things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry. For me, it's more important to use it responsibly. You know what I'm saying? I believe in using it responsibly. Okay. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good day. Okay.